live? Am I live? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Snapzilla Gorilla here, aka The Definition. I am coming to y'all with this live stream to discuss this situation that should have gotten the rounds by now. To me, it's pretty cut and dry. It's a pretty cut and dry situation, but of course, due to the dynamics, it is made to be more complicated. And of course, what I am referring to is a teenager, a track and field teenager who's on a track and field team in high school. He's 17 years old, by the name of Karmelo Anthony. Karmelo Anthony is a young man who had an encounter with another young man whose name I cannot recall right now, but that's okay, because you guys know, you got to give me a pass. You guys know I have a thing with names. Anyway, they got into an altercation, and J-Man was good. They got into an altercation, and the young man, man, see, I already forgot the other guy. I forgot the Karmelo Anthony. Karmelo Anthony ended up killing the other young man. They're both teenagers, okay? Now, for a little background, here's what happened. And anybody that has been to school, been in high school, you guys know that this is a typical kind of encounter among teenagers whose hormones are raging, and they're, out there to, that's where you're coming into your manhood as a young man, and you're discovering what that means. You're discovering yourself, and yeah, all that good shit. Cameron Herndon was good. Now, for a little background to what happened, the other young man, who was not Karmelo Anthony, was walking by, and Karmelo Anthony was minding his own business in his tent, right? He had a tent set up, and he was in there or something like that. And the other young man, Metcalf, his last name is Metcalf. Young man by the last name of Metcalf, right, came up to him and told him to move, okay? I don't know why he felt like Karmelo had to move, but he aggressively told him to move, according to Karmelo, according to the story. And Karmelo said no, basically. And Metcalf basically was like, if you don't move, I'll move you. Now, this is when things got a little heated. Karmelo Anthony basically said, you won't put your hands on me. If you do, you're going to have a problem. Metcalf, being the teenager that he is, and being probably in a rebellious stage like we all were, decided to put his hands on him. And Karmelo pulled out a knife and proceeded to stab Metcalf in the chest. And then he left the scene. Right. Please, y'all, hit that like button. Why am I on my phone driving? Does anybody see me on my phone? Does anybody see me with a phone in my hands? I don't think so. And if you're so concerned about me driving with my phone, why are you writing in the chat? Because if you write in the chat, you are then giving me something to look at, right? So you would think that if you were concerned about me driving on the road on my phone, you would not write in the chat, therefore giving me less of a distraction to worry about. But it is what it is. I've been doing this for quite a while, since 2008, 2018, 2019. So it's all good, man. He means look at the road instead of looking at the chat. Once again, it would make it like, look, if y'all were concerned about me driving on the road, it would make more sense to not write anything, because then there would be nothing for me to look at. And I am looking at the road. The road is right here in front of me, and I can see everything going on around me. Nonetheless, what brand is my truck? It's a Tesla Cybertruck. Anyway, so Karmelo Anthony stabbed Metcalf in the chest because the other young man put his hands on him, and what happened was the dude was acting in self-defense. He told the guy not to put his hands on him, and he proceeded to do so anyway, so therefore you don't know what can happen after that. So in the interest of self-preservation, Karmelo Anthony stabbed the dude in the chest. Bada boom, bada bing, Metcalf died. May he rest in peace. Would I want him to die? No, I wouldn't want him to die. I mean, but I also don't want people putting their hands on other people, because you don't know what that could lead to. Because what if Metcalf put his hands on Karmelo Anthony, and Karmelo Anthony did not have a knife, and Metcalf proceeded to beat him to death? Right? You don't know what can happen. Teenagers have been known to beat other teenagers to death. This has happened before. So when you put your hands on someone, teenager or grown-ass adult, you are asking to be retaliated against. You are putting yourself in a situation where you can bring harm to yourself due to your own actions. So once you open that door, once you go through that door, once you open the door and go through it, you have created a problem for yourself. And so therefore, the person whose door you opened and violated their privacy and violated their personal space, they have every right to defend themselves by any means necessary in the land of the free and home of the brave. But anyway, Queen Sister Cameron's in the building. How you doing, Queen? My sister, Queen Sister Cameron. Y'all go check her out. The Metcalf character could have used a little bit of words from Queen Sister Cameron on how to handle things like that, because she is great at giving a perspective about mental health and how to handle situations when you are angry, when you're sad, when you're going through things. There are certain ways you can handle it, and go check her channel out if you want to understand those different things. Right? So Queen Sister Cameron, please put your link in the chat. Stray Godzilla 22 was good. 22 Ronin, old head Deuce in the building. No, it's not a Cybertruck. Oh, okay. I could have sworn. Anyway, so listen. Now the conservatives are all in a tizzy, right? Because the bottom line to it is Karmelo Anthony's black and Metcalf is white, and therefore the conservatives have a problem with it because, well, they're racist, and they're blatantly racist, they're openly racist. And the one thing I can appreciate about that is that they're open and upfront about it, even though they try to say it's not racist. You know you're racist. Come on. Especially white conservatives, right? White conservatives, not all of them. I'm not going to paint that with a broad brush, right? But generally speaking, white conservatives have a certain view about race. And they have a clear bias in regards to race. This is a fact. They have a clear bias. If the roles were reversed and Metcalf was being attacked by Karmelo Anthony, and Metcalf stabbed Karmelo Anthony in the chest and killed him, you know what they would say? Do you know what the conservative base would say? And when I say conservatives, I'm speaking generally. I'm not making a hasty generalization, which is a fallacy. No, I am making a generalization, which is okay, because, I'm not going to name every conservative I feel. You get what I'm saying? But you know what they would say? Yeah, $1 million bond is flagrant. But you know how it is. I think what state did this happen in? I think it happened in New Orleans, Louisiana. I forgot what state. The bottom line is, if Metcalf had stabbed, if the roles were reversed, and Metcalf ended up stabbing Karmelo Anthony and killing him, do you know what the conservative base would say? They would say, wins, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. They would say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's what they would say. They would say that about Karmelo Anthony. They would not be trying to take down his defense fund that he crowdfunded. No, they would not do that. They would not try to shut that down, right? They would put all their money behind him. Because think about it. What was that white man's name in the subway? In the subway in New York that choked a mentally disturbed black man to death? A black man who hadn't even put his hands on that white man, right? The veteran with the weird porn stash and the curly blonde hair. What's his name? Oh, yeah, Daniel Penny. When Daniel Penny put his forearm around a man who had not touched him because he was acting out of pocket, they came to his defense swiftly. And Daniel Penny had not had any portion of his person violated by this man. Yet, they backed his ass up. They could not wait to defend Daniel Penny. Do you see the hypocrisy? Think about it. Metcalf attacked Karmelo Anthony. And Karmelo Anthony proceeded to defend himself with a knife. But they cried foul against Karmelo Anthony, and they want to put him away for life. They want him to face the death penalty. Tim Pool put out a poll on X and asked what type of penalty Karmelo Anthony should face. Over 50% of them said that they wanted Karmelo Anthony to die. Now, like Tim Pool said, because he's a minor, he cannot face the death penalty or 25 years to life. But that doesn't matter to these people, because what they saw was a black man killing a white man, and that's all they care about. A black boy killed a white boy with so much promise. Oh, he had so much promise. He had things going for him in life. And you know what? If the story is true that led up to these events, he was also an asshole who decided to violate somebody's rights, who decided to put their hands on somebody else. This is a clear violation of this is a clear violation of someone's personal space and personal autonomy and personal safety. Because guess what? At the end of the day, even with all the po-po running around, ultimately you are responsible for your own safety. Right? There was no police officer around when Metcalf put his hands on the young man Karmelo Anthony. So Karmelo Anthony acted upon instinct and the lack of awareness and the lack of knowledge of what Metcalf would go and would do to him if given free reign to do so. Metcalf could have done a number of things to harm Karmelo Anthony, but we want is as conservatives, right? What we want is Karmelo Anthony to sit there and take whatever Metcalf had to dish out. Why? Because Metcalf is white and Karmelo Anthony is black. Bottom line, bada boom, bada bing, that's it. Because they're racist, right? The conservative base, the so-called conservatives that are aligned under the Republican Party or aligned within the Republican Party are racist. And this is a natural thing, right? Y'all need to understand how natural racism is. And And it's not always a bad thing. It's really just a bias towards your own people. But it just depends on how you act on that bias. Because when logic goes out the window and consistency goes out the window, and you start contradicting yourself and acting out of cognitive dissonance, that's when it becomes a problem. Because even a racist can act in logic. Man, like this. You know what, man? Let's say I was a white conservative who was racist, right? I could say, man, God damn it, Metcalf got killed by Karmelo Anthony. God damn it. That's another precious young white man lost. God damn it. But you know what? He shouldn't have put his hands on that black man. See, that's logical. I mean, there's some logic in that. You don't like the fact that black man killed that black boy killed that white boy, but you understand that Metcalf, the white boy, put his hands on that black man or that black young man. And therefore, you have violated. And once you do that, the repercussions and consequences are out of your control. This is a logical line of reasoning. And there might be some white conservatives or whatever that think like that. They might actually have that level of logic and rationale. But what they're going to do is they're going to hide it. They're going to keep it down inside because they don't want to upset the other white conservatives. And in the converse, you could have white liberals that really want Karmelo Anthony to die and want him to face the death penalty, but they're not going to say it out loud because, again, they have to maintain this image of a Democrat who's for the people, right? Because understand that there are white Democrats or white liberals that hate black people, but at their heart they are liberals. And so because everything is so tribalized and everything is so split down the middle, you can't violate those party lines. So therefore you have to act on the behalf and act as though you are part of that party, and you can't stray outside of that. Because once you do that, you can be excommunicated, you can be censored, all that shit. It just is what it is. That is the world and the society we exist within today. And this is why I'm an anarchist, because I don't have to worry about none of that. I don't have to worry about upsetting this base, that base. I don't have to worry about upsetting the liberals or the Democrats, the FBAs or the goddamn anybody, because I act as an individual. I'm an individual first. Then I'm a black man, right? Well, actually, let me take a step back. I am an anarchistic individual first. Then I'm a black man, right? And I'm never a Republican or a Democrat. So I have two things that I have concern with. As an individual rights come first. And then I come from the understanding of being a black man in America and being a black man in the world, and having an understanding of the reality of being within that existence. Because a lot of people are in denial, right? A lot of people will tell you, oh, there's no such thing as systemic racism. There's no such thing as bad cops. There's no such thing as black people being targeted. But then they'll tell you, this is what a black, now we can get into the black conservatives. That's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing. Because a black conservative is a black person in a crisis. Okay, but thinking like that, I can be, if I am a black conservative, I'm going to act as though I am a white conservative. who was aware that I'm black, right? So I'm a white conservative, but I want to be white. I want to be white. I want to be accepted by the whites. So what I will do is go out of my way. I'll go out of my way to present myself as though I am a white conservative. That I'm a white conservative with the awareness that I'm black. Do you see how fucked up that is? I know I'm black. I know I'm black, and I call myself a conservative, but I want to be white. So therefore, no matter what, I am going to take the position of the white conservative in regards to Karmelo Anthony versus Metcalf, right? I'm going to take the position that, oh, you went too far, you shouldn't have stabbed him, right? They'll skip past the part where Metcalf put his hands on Karmelo Anthony first. No, they don't care about none of that. That goes out the window because Carmelo's black and Metcalf is white. It's as simple as that. What race is what individual? That's what determines their position on situations like this. That's just the fact. I've seen it too many times, right? So they'll tell you, these black conservatives will tell you, and trust me, the conservative base uses black conservatives as a mouthpiece for their racist propaganda. So they'll use them and they'll say, well, Karmelo Anthony was wrong, even though they know it's self-defense, right? They know it's self-defense. Now, me, myself, right? And this is where we have to separate ourselves from the situation, right? We have to remove ourselves from this scenario, because oftentimes when we try to take a position on something, we're putting ourselves in the place. We're putting ourselves in another person's place when we should not be doing that. But I can acknowledge that if I were Karmelo Anthony and Metcalf did that, I probably would not stab Metcalf, right? And a lot of people would believe that it wasn't necessary, right? Oh, it's not necessary. No, he didn't need to do that. He could have just punched him in the face or grabbed him and slammed him to the ground. Well, what if Karmelo Anthony did not know how to fight? What if he had a condition? What if he was weak? What if you don't know, because you're not Karmelo Anthony? Karmelo Anthony handled the situation like Karmelo Anthony would handle the situation. It might not be the way you handle it, but you're not him, right? You're not him. You don't know what Karmelo Anthony has gone through at this school. You don't know if he had any previous incidents with this Metcalf character. We don't know any of that, right? I don't, at least. So, yeah, I can put myself in a scenario, right? I can say, just to be fair and to be rational about it, right? Oh, it's in Texas? All right, so there should be an issue there. If it happened in Texas, this should not be an issue. But nonetheless, if I can say, look, this is what I would do, right? Just to be fair, just to say, well, there is another way to handle it, right? Because there's more than one way to skin a cat. But at the same time, I can acknowledge that I am not Karmelo Anthony. Karmelo Anthony is not me. And therefore, I can't judge him for what he did, because at the end of the day, he was not in the wrong. Now, what they'll not do is say, this is what they won't say. Well, Metcalf should never have put his hands on Karmelo Anthony. Metcalf should never have approached Karmelo Anthony in that way. he should have approached it more diplomatically. He should have asked nicely. He should have been polite. He shouldn't have put his hands on. They won't say that. They won't say that. Why? Because Metcalf is white, Karmelo Anthony is black. It's as simple as that. They had a fight earlier over him having a white girlfriend at a party, I'm hearing. Oh, shit. Now, see, I got to dig into that. See, there's always shit that comes to light, right? The more you look into these situations, the more that can happen. Why no cell phone footage? Because they trying to keep that shit away. Because maybe it shows Metcalf being an aggressor that deserved to get stabbed in the chest. It sounds harsh. But again, you looking at it logically, that's how you have to carry it. That's how I'd carry it. Think about it. If you're in the wild, right? You're an animal. And another animal comes up to you and is aggressive towards you, you are going to fight for your life. And here's the thing: if Metcalf and Anthony had an altercation earlier, maybe there was something in that altercation that told Karmelo Anthony that if I encountered this guy again, he might try to kill me. Maybe Metcalf threatened him. I don't know. Like I said, I got to dig more into the story. Dead Mike, my number one troll, coming to troll again. Dead Mike, exactly. Exactly. It's playing. That's what I'm saying. It's simple. That's why I said at the beginning of the live stream. It's simple. Keep your hands to yourself. And you won't have to worry about getting stabbed, getting shot. Well, I'm not going to say that. But if you keep your hands to yourself when someone's clearly not trying to have any issue with you, you don't have to worry about it. Now, in reality, there are people that are going to attack you whether you put their hands on them or not. And then that becomes, those people should not be putting their hands on you, right? That's when that comes about. But listen, the bottom line is this. If Metcalf had not touched him, had not been aggressive toward him, had not done any of that shit, he would be alive today. And that's just what it is. Exactly. Free Karmelo. I agree with that. They smashed his cell phone and snatched his bag. Oh, so it wasn't just Metcalf then. It wasn't just Metcalf. You see, that's what I'm getting from what you said, Stray Godzilla. So if Karmelo Anthony had been approached by a number of people, well, of course I'm gonna use a knife at that point. If I have a knife on me, I'm going to use it. I have a group of people that are trying to fuck with me, and the first person that touches me, they're gonna get stabbed. And that will then give the others second thoughts about fucking with me. You understand what I'm talking about? Bottom line to it. Listen, it is what it is. Hopefully justice will prevail in this situation, because it should, right? Metcalf, if the story is what it is, Metcalf got what he had coming to him. Teenager, adult, matters not. It matters not. And that's it. That's all, right? But of course, again, these white conservatives, they're not going to roll like that, right? They're gonna paint Karmelo Anthony in the worst light possible. They're gonna dig into his past. They're gonna try to find out if he smoked a joint 2 years ago, or if he skipped class. Maybe he got caught at a party drinking alcohol or something. They're gonna find a way to demonize and demonize Karmelo Anthony, so that it's justified to punish him for this situation where he should not be punished. as far as I know right now with the information I have. That's it. Right? It should be that simple. It should be that cut and dry, because it's that cut and dry with them when it came to Kyle Rittenhouse, right? And the same for me. I agreed that Kyle Rittenhouse, even though Kyle Rittenhouse did not do everything perfectly, he did defend himself at the end of the day. And there were a number of other situations that Stray Godzilla mentioned. Other people that happened to be white. Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny did not even get attacked by that young black man in the subway. Yet he choked him to death. He was not even acting in self-defense. No, he was acting in so-called defense of others. And that was perfectly okay. This could be the OJ story for this generation. Well, I hope not. Blacks didn't also have his back. Well, we got a lot of that going on, right? We got a lot of people. We got a lot of black folks out there that don't act on act on code. They're not on code, right? And when they expose themselves, you got to leave them where they at. It's like Erykah Badu said. I always talk about this. Erykah Badu said, "And if you think about turning back, I got the shotgun on your back. If you think about turning back, I got the shotgun on your back." Hey. She was referring to Harriet Tubman, who, when she was trying to free slaves, some of them would want to go back, right? They'd want to leave because they're afraid, because it was a hard road to freedom. And so they were like, well, I feel more comfortable in the slave house. Well, when they did try to leave and turn their back on her, because she did not want them to go back and give away her position, well, she put that 12 gauge shotty on their back and said, hey, if you keep going, I'm gonna blast you with this shotgun. And then sometimes she had to. It is what it is. That's how we have to carry it with some of these folks, right? Think about it. Just think about the hypocrisy and the contradictions and the cognitive dissonance, because they'll tell you there's no such thing as systemic racism in America. America's great. There is no more racism, no more this, no more that. But then they'll tell you, oh, well, the white liberals, they don't really like black folks. They're the ones that are systemically racist. Well, you just said there's no such thing as systemic racism. So if white liberals are committing systemic racism against black people, then how is there no systemic racism? If you acknowledge that that is a possibility and a truism, then why are you also saying that there's no such thing as racism in the country? There's no such thing as systemic racism. Make it make sense. If Karmelo gets life, we finna riot. Hopefully they drop the charges. That's what they need to do. He's not going to get life because he's a minor. They can't give him life. Or the white boy called him a ninja. I don't know. I didn't hear about that. Like I said, I need to dig further into the story. But I'm very interested in it because this is a defining moment in this country. Think about it. This is the defining moment. This will expose the real from the fake. And right now it's exposing the conservatives. Queen Sister Sunshine, how you doing this morning? Thank you for coming through. Think about it. This is a defining moment in this country. And right now, the white conservative base and their black conservative counterparts, they are exposing themselves right now as hypocrites. I mean, that's just it. You know what I'm saying? They are exposing themselves as hypocrites. And it's easy to see. They do this all the time, by the way. It's every single time. Like when Ashley Babbitt got killed by that black cop in DC on January 6th. Oh, they didn't like that. It was fuck the cops then. It was fuck the police. It was fuck the police when Ashley Babbitt got killed by that black cop. It was fuck the police. Why? Because Ashley Babbitt was white and that cop was black. It's very simple. It's very simple. It's very simple. But it's easier for them to get away with it because they put black folks, so-called black conservatives out there to push these narratives, to say these things, right? They leave it up to them so that they don't get attacked, so that they don't look like the hypocrites. And these black conservatives are more than happy to do it. Yeah, they're more than happy to stand in the pocket. The hypocrisy is always there out in the open. When you're consistent, you don't have to worry about none of that, right? If you're consistent in your stances and your point of view about society, about freedom, about what racism is and what it isn't, about what self-defense is and what self-defense is not, what murder is and what murder is not, you'll have nothing to worry about. There was nothing in my mind that made me believe, nothing, that Karmelo Anthony was in the right. Nothing, I had no doubt in my mind when I read the story. I said clear self-defense. Clear self-defense. When Kyle Rittenhouse had his situation, clear self-defense. Again, did he do some wild shit? Yes. But in the moments that he opened fire on those individuals, clear self-defense. Daniel Penny, well, that was not self-defense. That was murder. But they'll tell you that he did the right thing. They'll tell you he was in defense of others. Well, the guy he murdered did not put his hands on anybody. Was he making threats? Was he loud? Was he belligerent? Was he out of pocket? Sure. But he had not put his hands on anybody. That was not self-defense. Daniel Penny is a murderer. See, when you are consistent, then you have these understandings. You ain't got shit to worry about. Frank Zappa said he killed that kid straight murder. No, that was self-defense. But I understand that I get it. You all you see is that what's his name? Karmelo Anthony's black, and that Metcalf is white, and so therefore it's automatically murder in your mind. If they were both white, this would not even be a story, right? If they were both black, it would be a story, and then they would be talking about black on black crime. They would say, well, there's another statistic against black folks in America and why black folks are so dangerous, and that's why we look at them like that, right? I understand how this shit works. Y'all can't fool me. I cannot be tricked and bamboozled into believing that, oh yeah, this ain't a racist country. No. I cannot be tricked and fooled into believing that. I understand the real. But understand, y'all, this is not 1940 or 1950 anymore. If you come at black folks, you put your hands on us, you call us the N-word, all these other things, you might get mollywopped. Understand that. You will get mollywopped. You put your hands on a black person or anybody, it doesn't matter. You put your hands on anybody, in aggression, that and that contact is not invited, you might end up dead. You might end up getting put 6 feet under. You might be pushing up daisies. That's just how it is. That's what you need to be concerned about. Look at this as a lesson, as a cautionary tale about bullying and putting your hands on people, because some people ain't gonna take that shit. You might end up pushing up daisies. And guess what? You'll be dead. You'll be dead, and the person that killed you will have a chance of living. They will live on. They might get arrested. They might have to go to trial to defend themselves. But you put your hands on them, you ended up dead. Your story ends there. It doesn't help you when people start arguing and fighting about whether or not the person that killed you should be punished. You're already gone. Justice is not going to serve you. No. Justice does not serve the dead, y'all. The dead are dead. Justice serves the family of the dead, if you have family left. Justice serves as a tool, right? It's supposed to, of deterrence. You murder somebody, you can go to jail for life, you can get the death penalty. Right? That's what justice is supposed to do. But you as an individual, because if you go out there thinking, if you are a white conservative or a black conservative who loves to lick white asshole, you might go out there and think and believe that if Karmelo Anthony faces the justice you think he should face, which is getting the maximum penalty for someone his age for the death of Metcalf, you might go out there and believe that you can start putting your hands on people. You might think, well, maybe this will stop black folks from defending themselves. No, that's not what that means. That means that you can be put in the ground too. And guess what? You won't even know if justice comes to you. You won't even know if justice is served, because you'll be dead, motherfucker. What you thinking? Keep your motherfucking hands to your motherfucking self. Rose, LOL, that was a bad image. What are you talking about, Sunshine? What did I say? Oh, yeah. Every bully gets first ass whooping. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right there, Mike. You put your hands on me, you might get stabbed by me. I'm just saying, though. I've had threats issued against me, right? Especially from, what's that guy's name? Minor Mouse. But I told him, right? I made it clear that because you are a chomo, you do not get a fair fight. And I already have it in my mind that when you see me, that you're going to attack me. And I'm going to defend myself quite efficiently. Quite efficiently. To the point where you might not even be able to put a hand on me. Right? So that's how this shit works, y'all. Jay with open eyes says, you've been waiting on me to talk about this? Well, I had to, bro, because motherfuckers got it in their mind that you can do whatever the fuck you want with black people. But that's not the reality, y'all. Again, like I said, you're a white conservative, black conservative, or if you think that, whether you, even if you're a liberal or whatever the fuck you are, you think that Karmelo Anthony was wrong, I urge you, right? Even if you think he's wrong, I'm not going to try to change your mind about it. But think about this. I would not suggest that you take that and try and believe that you can do whatever you want with a black person. All right? It's not going to end well for you. There was a video there's a video out there where a black man is having an argument, right, with an older white guy. I think he's like in the 60s. Now this black dude is like, he's younger. He's clearly younger than him. But the white man is yelling and cussing him out and all this other shit, talking about he'll beat his ass and all this type of shit. Oh yeah, it is a black. They do make it a black issue, Jay. You're right. Maybe he didn't. Straight Godzilla. I gotta look into that. Again, I gotta look more into the story. But think about this: the old white man going in on this black dude, right? They're arguing back and forth, whatever. Black dude is kind of like, man, just go on about your business. But then the white man calls him a ninja and starts to walk away. Did not end well for him. He got his ass beat, right? Got mollywopped. Got a 5-piece put on him. Got a smooth 5-piece put on him. Ended up on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Lucky he didn't get knocked the fuck out. But, I mean, what do you expect? Would I have done that? Probably not. Because I am a believer of free speech. I believe in free speech, so I would not attack that white man for calling me the N-word. No, I would not do that. Me personally. Now, if he went to put his hands on me, that's a different story, but just for him saying that, I wouldn't do that. But I'm not mad at the black dude for doing it, right? Even though I'm a believer of free speech. That black man was clearly a believer in free speech until he said a certain word. And he handled it the way he handled it. Right? Not how I would do it. But not everyone has the same experience as me. Not everyone has my same belief system. Not everyone had a white grandmother growing up that called him the N-word every day. Right? My grandmother was racist in a motherfucker, called me N-word every goddamn day. I got desensitized to that word, right? I got desensitized to a certain level of racism, but guess what? Even, I think when I was 2 or 3 years old, my mother held me in her arms, right? Now my mother was black and white, and my dad is full black, right? Well, there's some Native American on my dad's side, right? My great grandmother was full blood Crow Indian, but nonetheless. So my mother's holding me in her arms, and I'm like 2 or 3 years old, and I don't know, maybe I said a bad word to my grandmother, and she slapped me or something, and I started hitting her back in my mama's arms. I grabbed her hair, started hitting on her. I mean, that's just, you know, that's what I did, right? Straight Godzilla, I believe that, but I can't, just because of, my grandmother, we got in a fight when I was 2, 3 years old. And then, you know, when I would, of course, as I got older, I think that was like the only time that happened, but, you know, I was bad. I was a bad little boy, but yeah, whenever I did something bad, she called me a little nigger. It is what it is. I got desensitized to that word. You know what I'm saying? So, but I understood what racism was. I understood that my grandmother, because she got pregnant by a black man and decided to have the baby, got cut off from her rich ass daddy, who was like in an oil baron or some shit. Like, he was a millionaire. My great granddad, my grandmother's dad was rich, and he cut her off. Cut her off 100%. She had a sister. She was fucking with black dudes too, but she never got pregnant. They both were doing it together at the same time. Like, they each were going down to slum it with black dudes, right? My grandmother got pregnant, but my great aunt did not. she got her inheritance. My grandmother did not. So I don't understand what racism is. Trust me. And so I'm desensitized to that word. I'm desensitized to words in general. Like, you just, calling me a word. Like, I'm not going to just right off hit you. But I might say, well, let's fight then. I might say that. I might say, I might invite you to fight me. But I'm not just going to haul off and hit you. But it is what it is. Like, unless we're in a situation where let's say we're at a bar, we're going back and forth, and it's getting real aggressive, and I think that you might put your hands on me, I then would probably hit you first. But I will hit you first, but that was not because of the words, but because of like your level of aggression toward me, your body language, right? Are you balling up your fist? Are you coming toward me? Then I might put my hands on you first, but it had nothing to do with the words. Oh yeah, I got slapped upside down. Man, I was bad, man. I was real bad. I was a bad little boy. They used to, they told me I was 2 or 3 years old, 4 years. As soon as I could walk and talk, they would take me to church, and I would run up and down the aisle, talking about fuck, shit, bitch, motherfucker, like cussing up and down the church, like I had some type of Tourette syndrome or something. Yeah, I was bad. Yeah, I was bad. But I understand epigenetics. No, for real. I used to cuss up in church. Yep. Marching up and down the aisle, cussing and hollering and heat and all that type of shit. Oh yeah, I was that kid, man. And my youngest son right now is that kid. That little boy smacked me upside the head yesterday. For no reason. Because he has the tendency to hit his siblings. He's real aggressive. My youngest son is real aggressive. And, they would all snitch on him, right? Oh, he hit me. Oh, Hansi hit me. Oh, Hansi hit me. And I'm like, man, hit him back. The fuck? Because we get tired of them snitching on a 4-year-old, right? I mean, you're 6, 9, 11, 13, and 15, 14. Hit that little boy back. Hit him back. So I was like, so eventually I said, if you want to hit somebody, just go hit your baba. That's what my wife would say. Go hit your baba. He can take it. So then he started coming to hitting me, scratching me, hitting me with objects. I'm like, man. And I was like, whatever. And I would play around with him. I'll play, help him get his energy out, right? So, you got to help him get the energy out. I think it was yesterday, the day before, I'm working. He comes up to me, start hitting me, same shit, scratching, biting, bit my arm. I'm like, man, if you don't knock it off. But then I said, stop. And I kind of like gave him a stern look. I said, knock it off, boy. And he said, he smacked me in my head real hard. Smacked me upside the head mad hard. He a heavy-handed little boy too, man. Heavy-handed. I said, you know what? I got to put him in Muay Thai and boxing classes because this is crazy. So he smacked me upside the head, right? And I looked at him. I punched him in his chest. Not really hard, but I punched him in the chest, right? Kind of like, right? Just real quick though. Like as soon as he smacked it, bam! It was a reaction. He smacked it, bam! Just no hip in it. Just tapped him, right? And he kind of stepped back a little bit, staggered back, and said, "I'm not your friend, right?" I'm not. He stepped back, said, "I'm not your friend," and left. That's a wild boy. Yeah, something. No, I didn't get no switch. I just punched him in the chest. No need for a switch. No, I hit that fool in the chest. Smacked me in my face. Because at first he was playing around. But then when he got to biting and I had this, when I at the house, I had this this chair on wheels, right? You know, like an office recliner chair. You know, for the computer and shit. He would pull me away from the desk, just pulling me. Just, I'm like, bro, stop it, I'm working. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't my friend. I'm like, okay, all right, man, whatever you say. But it reminds me of the type of boy I was at his age. And I know that I gotta do something with that aggression because no one handled my aggression properly. So, but I'm going to put him in Muay Thai boxing classes as ASAP. I don't know if the place that I'm going to take him to will do it that early, but maybe. He's going to get you when you least expect it. Oh, he already had. He already did. Like yesterday, we're at the park because my kids had soccer games. Volleyball and soccer, like the whole day from 9 o'clock to 5:30. Games all day. Anyway, we're sitting there, and this is during my son's game, my oldest son's game. And he goes grabs the hula hoop and starts trying to put it over me, like put me in the hula hoop, right? And that wasn't fun enough for him. So he started hitting me on the side, upside the head with the hula hoop. Like aggressive. I'm like, bro. So I grabbed that damn hula hoop and I threw it across the goddamn park. I just threw it. I was like, man, get out of here with that shit. Yeah. Hit me upside the head. Hit me in my knuckle with the hula hoop. Hit me in my knee. Yeah, he a badass boy. That's what I said. I got to put him in boxing and Muay Thai. So yeah, that's how I was though. Cause I used to do the same thing to my brother, my older brother. I used to just haul off and punch him in the nose, punch him in the face, like hit him. Yeah, but no one knew how to handle that aggression with me. So I wish they had put me in boxing when I was like 3 or 4 years old. That would have been better for me. But it is what it is. Because I just was I was uncorrigible. So I was actually diagnosed as uncorrigible by a child psychologist because I was so bad. They took me to a psychologist, y'all, because I was just a badass boy. Anyway, yeah, the hula hoop is our choice of weapons, but if you use it right, it can hurt. So here I am, and I got a white grandmother who was cut off by her racist white daddy, and she's of course racist as well, even though she had kids with black dude. You know, it is what it is. So I was desensitized to the words the racists use to try to trigger you. So I would not hit somebody for just simply calling me an N-word. But man, I would damn sure wish they put their hands on me or try, right? And that's how I carry it. But again, I understand epigenetics. I understand generational trauma. I understand trauma being passed down in the genes. And this is what a lot of people don't understand about how slavery affects us today. Not just slavery, but also what was done to the Native Americans, because the indigenous people of this land they call America, because they were traumatized as well in a different way. And some of them were slaves. And a lot of indigenous people in this land were black. We were here before the Mongolians. We were here before the Caucasians. It was just, that's just what it is. That's just the reality of it, right? So there was a lot of trauma. Trauma gets passed down through the generations through epigenetics, right? It is stamped and engraved in the toolbox genes. Y'all know what toolbox genes are. Toolbox genes are ancient genes that get passed down from your very, very ancient ancestors, right? And every time something happens, your genes, your code will be written into your toolbox genes that help you evolve, right? So think about it. It makes total sense because, if you go back to like a certain bird, right? Or a certain mouse, let's say the first of this mouse was white and they lived in an environment where everything was brown and green and, all these bright colors and all these dark colors, but nothing was really white, right? Well, if they're being hunted by birds of prey, they're going to be much more easily seen, right, by those birds of prey because they're white. They're standing out. So throughout generation through evolution, they started to come out brown, right? Because the trauma caused by that being attacked by the birds of prey writ something in their DNA that said, okay, we're going to start to come out brown. That's epigenetics, right? And it can manifest itself in different ways. So trauma can affect and does affect how you evolve. Trauma is just an occurrence that shapes you, right? It shapes you, it changes who you are, right? It's devastating and it informs how you behave in the future. And it also informs your genes. It informs your genes, right? That's how animals evolve. That's how humans evolve. Through trauma. Bottom line to it. Do you think that the mouse knew it was white? No. Right? It didn't have the concept. It didn't know what colors are. But what happens is, you see your mouse family, you see that they're white. You see yourself, that they stand out. They stand out on that branch. They stand out in that brown field where the dirt is and all that, in the grass. The grass is green. The soil is brown. They stand out. And you can see. So you see that bird of prey snatch your family member up and get eaten, and they get flown off. And now you no longer have that family member. Well, you understand that because you were able to see your family member stand out. That bird of prey also saw that bird stand out. So what happens? That memory gets encoded. And then from then on, it takes, it starts to work on changing that. It doesn't happen immediately, but eventually it does happen. That's why polar bears are white, right? That's why grizzly bears are brown. That's why black bears are black, because they have to suffer through the trauma of starving, because they would be seen coming a mile away. So trauma operates in different ways. Like it's multifaceted. This shapes your genetics. Trauma is necessary in helping your future progeny survive, helping your descendants survive. Right? So how do we survive? So think about it. If we have 400 years of slavery and another 100 or so years of Jim Crow, and then the civil rights movement where we're being called the N-word, and that is associated with us being attacked, well, guess what? Because not only do we have epigenetics, we also have written history. We have video and audio. We're able to see it. That also shapes us. So it's not just epigenetics, it's also what we can see externally. You know, with history books, with video, you know, you see that shit. You might see a video or a photo in a book of a black person being hung from a tree and a bunch of white people standing around smiling at it. And you might see something written down, yeah, we hung this nigger on this day. So now you're associating nigger with a traumatizing event like being hung. I understand this. So I understand that when that black man heard that white man say nigger, oh, he beat his ass. I understand that. Just like in South Carolina when I first moved out here, I think it was, what restaurant was that? Cracker Barrel, whatever the fuck. White man called a black man a nigger. He hit him 17 times. It did not get charged. But think about that. And these were this was an older white man and an older black man. I couldn't get mad. I would not have hit him. Unless, like I said, he aggressed me. Unless he came at me aggressively. But I can't be mad at that black man for hitting him. I can't be. Because I don't have his experiences. He doesn't have my experiences. So, hit him 17 times. I'm like, okay, that's what's up. And he wasn't arrested, as he should not have been. But it's the trauma. It's the trauma during slavery. It's the trauma during Jim Crow. It's the trauma during the Civil Rights Movement. It's the trauma of today. It's the trauma that we experience today through because of racism. It's the trauma that we experience and we see and we witness when we see a George Zimmerman getting off, right? When they say Mike Brown, deserved to get shot as much as he did. When they say those things, when we see that, well, we're still under attack. When we see Karmelo Anthony being persecuted, being attacked, people trying to take his defense fund down because they're simply racist, we see that's a trauma. He experienced a trauma and is experiencing trauma, having to go through what he's going through right now, when all he did was defend himself. And we see how differently they behave. When I say hey, I'm talking about the conservatives. We see how they behave when others defend themselves and they think it's justified. They believe it's justified. They don't want to hear it when you say, well, Kyle Rittenhouse should have just shot him in the foot or shot him in the leg. They don't want to hear that. No, what they want to hear is, oh, well, he deserved to shoot him in the face, which I agree, you know. But they don't want to hear you say that. They want, oh, you should have shot him in the leg, shot him in the foot, shot him in the arm. They don't want to hear that shit. But when it comes to Karmelo Anthony, they want you to believe that Karmelo Anthony was simply just wrong. When Karmelo Anthony was defending himself, defending possibly his life, how would he know? Well, you don't want to find out. When someone goes to put their hands on you, you don't want to find out what they will do if you allow them to do it. You want to stop them by any means necessary, and that is what Karmelo Anthony did. Therefore, Karmelo Anthony is justified in his actions. Period. Period. Teenager, not teenager, adult, not adult, who gives a fuck? There comes a point in your life when you have to learn how to pick your battles, when you decide that you want to put your hands on somebody out of anger, out of aggression, or out of simply just being a bully. You have to understand that there can be consequences for your actions. Your white privilege will not protect you in that regard. It won't. Your white privilege will not protect you if you attack a black man physically. Now, if you survive the defense, if you survive him acting in self-defense, if you survive that, white privilege will then probably save you. But if you die, your white privilege will not benefit you in the least. So the moral of the story is, keep your motherfucking hands to your motherfucking self. Unless somebody's trying to put their hands on you, then by any means necessary, defend yourself. You've always concealed your weapons, as you should. They're talking about why would he have a knife? Why not? I seen in the peers bring weapons to school. I have as well. Like what? Why would he have a knife? Why not? Why would he have a knife? Why wouldn't he have a knife? You know why he had a knife? Just in case he was attacked by a motherfucker like Metcalf. I know it might be, I sound harsh calling Metcalf a motherfucker, but it's not just Metcalf, y'all. Metcalf, he's just the cautionary tale. But this could be from anybody. Anybody can put their hands on you. You got to be able to defend yourself. Why would you not have a weapon? Everyone should carry a weapon everywhere. If you are functioning enough to go out in the world by yourself, even as a teenager, you should have the means and the tools to defend yourself on your person at all times. Period. Now, they don't want you to do that at school. I get it to a degree because people are wild with them damn weapons. You know what I'm saying? They could have, hey, you never know. But that's why everybody needs to have one. Because the people that you would feel should not have one, the people that don't give a fuck about the rules, they're going to have weapons in the school. And your law-abiding, rule-following child will not have one. Well, how is the rule helping your child? I want us to think about that. How is the prohibition against weapons in a school, how does that help your child who don't go to school without a weapon? How does that help them? It doesn't. Exactly. Not everybody can throw hands, Jay, man. Exactly. That's why I said earlier. Maybe Karmelo Anthony did not know how to fight. But as this story comes out more, I'm going to look more into it because I'm hearing different things. Stray Godzilla said that they had a fight earlier, that it wasn't just Metcalf. So, more shit will come to light. But the bottom line is, keep your hands to yourself. But not everybody's going to follow that golden rule. So guess what? Just in case, have the tools and the means to defend yourself. Now, I don't believe myself in sending children to school or institutions like that, like public institutions. I believe in maybe, in some regard, in regards to education, there can be a gathering of children to learn. But I feel like it needs to be more parent guided, parent influenced, right? Where